Good morning. My name is Dr. Richard Colgan. I'm an associate professor at the University of Maryland School of Medicine in Baltimore, where I'm also director of undergraduate education for the Department of Family and Community Medicine. We're going to hear some poetry of life stories from medical students and residents from throughout the United States. The idea for this talk came from a quote from Sir William Osler. The quote is, "Nothing will sustain you more potently than the power to recognize in your humdrum routine, or so it may seem, the true poetry of life. The poetry of the commonplace, of the ordinary man, of the plain toil-worn woman, with their loves and their joys, their sorrows and their griefs." I've wanted to share some of the art of medicine with residents and students, and I have just written a book entitled Advice to the Young Physician on the Art of Medicine, in which is a chapter entitled The Poetry of Life. And I invite you now to hear some poems that some students and residents have encountered in patients they've met through the years. Our next presenter is Bethany Daubman from Albany Medical College.
Hi, my name is Bethany Rose Daubman, and I'm a fourth-year medical student at Albany Medical College. The title of my presentation on the poetry of life is called Listening Between the Lines. The quote that really inspired me and that has kind of become a touchstone for me throughout my years in medical school is, "Speak to me and I will listen between the lines." From the first day of medical school, when I put on my white coat for the first time and I uttered the Hippocratic Oath for the first time with 134 other nervous medical students, it's been told to us over and over that every patient has a story. But something that wasn't explained to me as well was that so often it's hard for patients to tell their stories. Patients may be reluctant, or they may not have the voice, or they may not even be unaware of how best we could help them, and that it's our job as physicians and healers to find what their story is and to listen between the lines. How often do we listen to what the patient is saying but miss what the patient is trying to say? I found that that has been a big struggle for me in medical school, that I'll get exactly what the preceptor wants me to get, and I'll get all the information, but I maybe miss what's really going on. I mean, there's humorous examples of the patient who comes in with vague complaints, and at the end, when your prescription pad is out, mentions, "Oh, could I have some Viagra too?" Or there's maybe the teenage girl who comes in with an exacerbation of IBS, and only later do you find out that her parents are going through a divorce and she's under stress. And it's been really important for me to remember this quote, to listen between the lines, to find out what the patient is truly trying to say. One of the stories that stands out to me the most is a patient who was the first patient I ever worked with when I started volunteering for hospice. And she was one patient that I had started to volunteer with her. I was playing the harp with her as she was dying to just provide her therapeutic presence. And I thought this would be an easy way for me to get to know patients. Before medical school, I was a concert harpist, and that was my livelihood, and that's how I made money. So I was used to performing for thousands. But this one patient, this audience of one, was too much for me. It was such a challenge for me to understand her and how best I could serve her. I was a third-year medical student, so the more basic aspects of her care I could perform. So I'd already done medically everything I could for her, and I just sat there playing. The louder I played, I think it was Bach's Arioso, the louder she was groaning, and I could tell that everything I was trying to do for her and caring for her wasn't really helping, and it overwhelmed me, and it was embarrassing for me. I wasn't sure how to help her. I wasn't sure what she was trying to say and what I could do to ease her suffering. And I kind of told her I was going to leave and I'd be back to see her later, and I went to brush her hair aside. She was sweating profusely, she was groaning in pain, and as soon as I touched her clammy face, she reached out and grabbed my hand with her gnarled hand, and she held on and she wouldn't let go. And I was so surprised at her strength and that she would want to hold on to me. And it just made me so sad that I almost missed what she was trying to say, that she didn't need me to do anything medically for her, that there wasn't any treatments left, that I didn't need to be performing for her, I didn't need to be there, but she just wanted someone to hold onto her hand until she was ready to let go. And it just makes me so scared that I almost missed that opportunity with her, to be there with her as she was dying and just to listen between the lines to what she was trying to say to me. Thank you.